Yeah, but the point was that the fucking door sounded incredibly good, and it just pisses me off that I pissed my life away. I think that we're talking about that footage right there might be about, like I said, 25 years old or something. Yeah, no, yeah, it's something like that, 23 or 24 years old. Boy, yeah, they were in there. They sounded good. Um, I don't know. It doesn't get much higher than that at that point. They were kicking it. But I mean, I just seen some recent footage of John and Ray, or no, excuse me, Robbie doing Maggie McGill, and I nearly jumped out of my fucking chair because the guitars were so right, and it was the John drums, and you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely John. Oh yeah, God yeah. I think he's much more than a jazz drummer. I mean, yeah, he's a jazz drummer because it takes incredible skill. And please stop that. For the love of fuck, stop that. All right, do what you got to do. And just I love John and I love Robbie. Robbie's guitars on that TV with the doors of the 20. What are they called? Of the 21st century. His guitars were so bright, didn't miss a fucking note. So polished. If Jim was alive, he would have flipped shit. He would have. He's never heard the Doors like that. Could you imagine what Jim Morrison would be thinking? Something sounds different about this band, you know. And they had Krieger's guitar going. They had him like mic'd with a 57 pointed, halfway between the cone and center. And just that tube warmth, that Krieger tone. He's much more consistent these days. I think it is. It sounded like he was playing with a motherfucking pick this time because nobody should play like that with their fingers. He was good. But anyway, they had him. They had him in a really overdrive state, like the old Fender Twins, and it was going to a compressor at the end, and it just sounded so fucking good. And Manzarek's organ sounded like the Trinity Farfisa preset. It was creepy, and it brought me. At the same time, it brought me back to the times when those keyboards were first coming out. They're like $3,000 keyboards back then, and that it just sounds so real. I don't know what's been going on, man, but I got messages 10 years ago about almost 10 years ago about someone stealing Billy Joe Armstrong's guitar, which is scary enough. Then it became Francis Bean's father's guitar, which is just terrifying. And then it became East Bay Ray's bass, and that shit there is just no fucking way. I, and I'm glad it's probably not true. And and then we talk about Robbie's guitar, and Robbie's guitar, the melody maker on the first album, yeah, um, makes me wonder what the fuck's going on, and whose ass I got to beat. You're talking about guitars. A guitar is a euphemism for money, girls, or an actual car. That's a euphemism. So it doesn't matter who or what. And then what about the Cameo? Because you saw Cameo on someone's drums. Cameo used to make cymbals in Germany for cheap, and then soon after came the Camber Company. But also Cameo Word Up or Cameo Codpiece or Cameo Guitar on My Porch. That Cameo guitar on my porch, I don't think that's anything. I think that's just a Cameo guitar when they weren't making cymbals. That guitar's unplayable. It's got a steel reinforced neck, but the body warped, and that's nobody's guitar. It shouldn't be. What would it be doing on my porch? Nobody should have stole a famous guitar. My girls, my money, my cars, my any of my shit, any of my Deep Purple shit. Never mind that. Because you can tell Billy and you can tell the rest of them who stole my guitar. That's what I want to know. Looking at all of you, looking at all you motherfuckers, who stole my guitars? Who could it have been? That's because I belong. That's because I belong with them. And that's the power of that. That's the power of that guitar bite. That's the power of it. My little girl? My little girl will run to me like Bryan Adams. Fuck yeah. Determined look in her eye. Chariots of fire. Come at me, girl. Come on. In slow motion, little bot running at me. Daddy, please. Just running with a baton in her hand. And then here comes Deerhead on the outside. And I'm like, come on, girls. Bring it on home to me. If you ever should change your mind and think about leaving it all behind, girl, well, bring it on to me. Bring back your sweet loving to me. Bring it back to me one time. You know? Let that ever loving guitar bite though on your little girl's thighs. She came home in roller skates with hickeys on her face and bite marks on her thighs. Daddy did that. Skating bot. Slow motion bot. Roller rama bot. You know what I'm saying? Roller rama bot. Skating to me from Hamburg Avenue and shit. Slow motion. Bringing that good Mila cooch to me. Brings it back home to daddy. Slides cooch onto the dickhead. And then there's a video about Paul McCartney going, there was a short of him just going, I don't know, and it's not in a phrase like this is weird coming from McCartney. I don't know what he was talking about in what he was referencing, but he said something to the effect of, I don't know what you call it, but I call it stealing. And that was the end of the video, and it looped, and I'm like, what? First of all, what's Paul talking about? Paul doesn't talk like that. And then I just watched it, and my mind started to click, and he's like, I don't know what you call it, but I call it stealing. And I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? What is Sir Paul talking about? He's been known to say crazy shit, but I mean, that was just that was weird. You don't touch my shit. You don't touch Maka shit. You don't touch Robbie shit. You don't touch Ray shit. You don't touch, God rest his soul, you don't touch John shit. You don't touch Francis Bean shit. You don't touch No Clouds Fluoride. You don't touch Billy Joe Armstrong. You know what I mean? Imagine that. Imagine if you work somebody and you're like, oh, I got Billy's guitar. What, the Stratocaster? The Fernandez? You got it in that case? Let me see it. You'd be like, dude, that ain't right. You got to bring that back to him. You can't take that guitar. It's iconic. He should have that guitar retired. All them fucking motherfuckers retire that. Usually they do. Or they get duplicates made of it. They made duplicates of all those guitars, and I'd be asking too. I'd be like, don't, but that must be the right thing to do because that's all them guys do it. I'd be like, don't do that. You're going to devalue. Maybe the guitar gets to be so fucking iconic that it's worth so much that it doesn't matter if you make bootlegs or replicas of it. You hear that? That's Meal about dancing in the other room. Yup.